Imagine the situation like this. The fashion world is again cool. The global campaign calendar is in order. All brands are ready to launch new projects to close the year magnificently. But suddenly, boom! One unexpected decision came from Calvin Klein headquarters. Not an announcement, not even a new collaboration, but something that made all eyes go straight to one name, Jungkook. Yes, the singer, who is also a global icon, again confused the industry. Not because of her new photo shoot, but because of the strange decision of the brand that has been holding her for a long time. Calvin Klein seems to be hesitating, kayaking again in the pause phase, and the whole world is wondering, what is behind all this? If Calvin Klein used to be quick, firm and clear whenever it came to Jungkook, this time they were silent. And in the fashion world, silence is not a sign of calm, but a sign that something big is being hidden. Some European fashion media began to speculate that Calvin Klein was delaying an important announcement regarding Jungkook's new contract. While fashion watcher accounts on Twitter began to review the brand's campaign schedule and found a big hole in the Q1 calendar next year, there is an empty slot that Jungkook usually fills, wrote one fashion analyst in Paris. So, is Calvin Klein considering something? Or was Jungkook himself playing time on purpose? When it comes to Jungkook and Calvin Klein, this is no ordinary relationship. Since the beginning of their work together, the results are always shaking. From the global debut photo shoot in 2023 that made the internet explode, to every new teaser that can change the direction of world trends. But this time, it's different. There are no teasers, no leaks, no new visuals that usually appear before the change of season. And that's what makes people suspicious. Usually, if Jungkook is silent, it means that something big is being prepared, said one of the editors of Vogue Japan magazine. But what makes me confused, Calvin Klein is also silent. Though usually they always take advantage of the slightest moment to assert their relationship with Jungkook. So, what exactly is going on behind the scenes? Is Calvin Klein hesitant to extend the contract because the value of the offer is too large, or are they waiting for a strategic moment to announce something bigger? Perhaps an exclusive design collaboration, or a new creative project with Jungkook as guest creative director. Speculation grew wild when Korean media said there were renegotiations involving HYBE's legal team and Calvin Klein's American representatives. Some sources say Jungkook wants to be freer in choosing the visual direction and concept of the campaign, while Calvin Klein still wants to maintain their distinctive style that is minimalist and sensual. Two equally powerful big ideas are now said to be colliding at the international meeting table. This is where the mystery deepens, because in the world of fashion, decisions like this are never about money. It's about global image, about brand direction, about symbolic meaning. Jungkook is not just a brand ambassador, he is the face of modern Calvin Klein. Without Jungkook, the brand is missing an incredibly strong Asian magnet. But on the other hand, if they continue with the old format, there is a risk of market saturation. So maybe they are again looking for new ways to level up this relationship without losing the essence that made them successful. Well, interestingly again, some fans found it suspicious. Jungkook was seen wearing outerwear with design pieces that did not enter any CK catalogs. Some say it's part of Calvin Klein's new 2026 collection, but others speculate it's the result of Jungkook's own personal sample design. If true, it means that there is potential for new collaborations, but with a different cooperation structure than before. No longer an endorsement contract, but a joint creative project. And that would explain why Calvin Klein seems confused, because they're transitioning from a commercial relationship to a deeper creative one. But still, in the midst of all that speculation, there is a mysterious side that makes the fashion world not calm. Why didn't Calvin Klein immediately dismiss these rumors? Why do they leave the public wondering without clarification? Is this part of their marketing strategy, some kind of silent buzz campaign to pique the public's curiosity? Or are they really in a phase of confusion, not yet knowing which way to take? Because for sure, when it comes to Jungkook, every small step has a global impact. And come to think of it, this isn't the first time Jungkook has confused the fashion world. Every time the public thinks they already know the direction of his career, he always comes up with a new unexpected surprise. Everyone used to think she was just an ordinary advertising icon. But in fact, her presence at Fashion Week, the way she influences global trends, and even a simple decision about a haircut or the type of jeans she wears can make the market demand jump dramatically. So, maybe Calvin Klein is also rethinking, not out of doubt, but because they realize that this relationship has developed further than just an employment contract. Now imagine, if these rumors are true, and Calvin Klein is preparing for a big announcement in the near future, what will happen? Will Jungkook be inducted as a global creative partner, something that has never been done before for an Asian celebrity? Or will he just leave, paving the way for a new chapter with another brand, Gucci, Prada, or even an independent brand of his own personal collaboration? The fashion world is again holding its breath, and analysts know one thing: whatever the next step, it will change the direction of fashion trends 2026 completely. One thing is for sure, whatever decision Calvin Klein makes this time, they cannot repeat the same history twice. Jungkook has become more than just the face of the campaign. He is a symbol of the influence of a new generation. And if it's true that they are confused, it's not because they lost their way, but because they realized the slightest decision about Jungkook will determine the future of their own global image. So maybe, instead of panicking, Calvin Klein is pausing, looking in the mirror and asking, are they ready to grow up with Jungkook or lose to his own shadow? A new chapter or a big farewell? Perhaps all this confusion is not because Calvin Klein does not know the next step, but because they are at a decisive point. Either the relationship with Jungkook will level off, or it will end elegantly. There's something interesting about the way big brands behave when they're dealing with phenomena like Jungkook. They know keeping an icon of his class is not as easy as renewing a contract. It's about evolving vision, direction, and values. Jungkook is no longer a new star that can be directed. He is now a large entity with a strong identity, a personal style that has shaped the direction of global culture. So, it is possible that Calvin Klein is thinking, are we still big enough to accommodate it? Just look at his track record. Since Jungkook appeared in their first campaign, sales of CK products in Asia rose nearly 400% within 48 hours. In fact, internal data that was leaked in the Japanese media said that the surge in interest in men's jeans and underwear lines increased so significantly that they ran out of stock in several countries. But this phenomenon has two sides. Overwhelming success often leaves brands with little room for experimentation. Because every time Jungkook shows up, all the public attention goes straight to him. Imagine, a global fashion brand with a long history began to be known not because of the design, but because of one person who wears it. It was both incredible and alarming. This is where the Calvin Klein dilemma begins. They are proud to have Jungkook, but also aware that this extraordinary power can make the brand lose its balance. An analyst at Business of Fashion once wrote, Calvin Klein had to decide whether they wanted to live in Jungkook's shadow or stand by him. And maybe right now, they're weighing it very carefully. Moreover, in the past 2 years, Jungkook has proven that he is not just a pretty face in front of the camera. He had a keen visual instinct, a deep understanding of fashion, and even began to influence the direction of design. Behind the scenes, many said Jungkook often gave direct input to CK's creative team, especially for tone, lighting, and photography style. If that's true, it means he has gone further than just a model. Well, if we look at Calvin Klein's patterns so far, they rarely retain one ambassador for too long. They love rotation, love experiments, love new looks. But Jungkook is different. Whenever there are rumors of a replacement, the public reacts violently. Many say that if Calvin Klein replaces Jungkook, they will lose half their global audience on social media. That's not an empty threat. In one CK campaign launched without Jungkook in mid-2024, their digital engagement dropped by 63%. So, you could say now they are in a completely wrong position. Go ahead. The risk is too great. Want to stop, the impact can shake. But what makes it even more interesting is that Jungkook himself looks calm. Several times she appeared at the airport in simple clothes without the flashy CK logo, and fans immediately read the gesture. Is he moving away slowly? But it can also be that he again deliberately keeps his distance temporarily to build up new surprises. In the entertainment world, silence is a strategy. Many great artists choose to disappear first to make a bigger splash at the right time. So, it could be that Calvin Klein and Jungkook are now playing time, so that later, when it is announced, everything feels explosive again, like it used to be. However, there is also a more interesting possibility. What if Calvin Klein is preparing a truly revolutionary new campaign? Not just an ordinary photo shoot, but a cross-world fashion project. Rumors about this have already begun to circulate in the Fashion Insiders community. He said there was talk of a Calvin Klein x Jungkook World Motion project, a project involving sustainability concepts, music, and digital art. If this is true, it means that Jungkook will be the main figure in CK's new narrative that is more modern and future-oriented. And that would explain why they seem to be silent, because such a big project can't just be announced. But still, behind all the theories, there is one big unanswered question. Who exactly made the final decision, Calvin Klein or Jungkook himself? As many believe, Jungkook now has full control over his fashion career. He is no longer governed by brands, but instead chooses brands that match his vision. If she decides to take a break from Calvin Klein, it does not mean that there is a conflict, but a long-term strategy. Maybe she wants to build a more personal fashion identity, or even create her own brand. Some rumors from the industry community say that Jungkook has already begun discussions with independent Japanese and Italian designers for the project JK Atelier, a clothing label that combines minimalism, sensuality, and futuristic aesthetics. And in the midst of all that speculation, the public still can't escape one thing: Jungkook's magnetism. Even without an official announcement, one photo of him wearing a plain black jacket can go viral and be immediately associated with Calvin Klein. That effect is very rarely done by other celebrities. It's not just popularity, it's real influence. Perhaps that's where Calvin Klein's confusion really lies. They realize they need Jungkook, but also realize that this relationship has crossed the usual commercial boundaries. Now it's no longer who pays who, but who needs whom more. In the end, we can only guess. Is this the beginning of a new chapter, in which Calvin Klein and Jungkook will unite visions in their biggest collaboration? Or is it the beginning of an elegant breakup, one in which the two choose different paths, but still leave a visual legacy that will never be forgotten? The fashion world is still waiting. But one thing is for sure, whatever the final decision, Jungkook's name will still stand at the center of the world's fashion scene, either as the face of Calvin Klein or as an icon who has finally walked his own path.